Hi everyone, welcome to the third installment of Salud, Prost, Cheers with CraftHaus. My name is Jen O'Shiro-Rivers. I'm an 05-08 graduate of UNLV. I also sit on the board of directors for the hospitality chapter of the Alumni Association. I'm personally very excited to be introducing our wonderful guests. My husband and I are huge craft beer fans, and we're very grateful to have the team from CraftHaus join us for today. Thank you again for joining us. We have lots of upcoming programs, so make sure you're following us on social media, register for your events. And if you have any questions throughout the program today, you can put it in the chat screen and we'll make sure our hosts get to them. And with that, I'll turn it over to Wyndee and Dave.
Hi everyone, welcome.
Hello, thanks for being here. Well, I'm Dave, and along with my wife Wyndee are the founders of CraftHaus Brewery. Also joining us is Cameron, our head brewer. He's on the call as well.
Oh, sorry. We're logged in on the opposite links. So Cameron is not Wyndee, and I am not Cameron.
Cameron, you want to say hi?
Hello, everybody. I'm also a UNLV alumni, graduated 09.
And by the way, Wyndee and I are also UNLV alumni. We both graduated same year in 04.
From the Hospitality College. Go Rebels!
Go Rebels! So we'll just tell you a little bit of a brief history of CraftHaus and kind of how it all started. Believe it or not, we were attending UNLV. We both graduated in 04, and we wanted to celebrate. So we headed on over to Europe, and we were blowing off some steam and traveling and getting in some culture. And we also were discovering beer. We didn't really know it or plan on doing it, but we were sitting on the canals in Amsterdam, and we were relaxing and having a beer. And beer to us at the time was just kind of macro-produced beers. And as we were over there and enjoying ourselves and relaxing and learning about culture and learning about beer and learning about museums and all kinds of stuff, and it was just all kind of intertwined. And we had a wonderful experience. And we discovered that craft beer really brought a lot of people together. And we also discovered that beer can have a lot of big flavor profiles and different bolds and different tastes. So after our trip to Europe, we came back to Las Vegas and we started looking for those kind of beers. And I was just really excited to try to find them. And unfortunately, I wasn't really able to do that. There wasn't really much here, you know, that was in 04. So, 16 years ago. So that drove me to kind of decide to make it myself and play around with different recipes and malts and hops and yeast and even growing my own hops. Believe it or not, hops can grow in Las Vegas. I'm proof of it. And 3 of those hops that I was successful with made it in our Resinate can that you guys have in front of you. So it was just a hobby that turned into a bit of a passion, and we were having a lot of fun making beer. But people really pushed us to do more with CraftHaus and with beer. So we decided to pursue opening up a brewery, and it took us about 4 years or so. We changed a lot of licensing. We had zoning issues. There was a lot of things that had never been done before within the city of Las Vegas, or more importantly, city of Henderson. So Wyndee and I really helped educate the city a little bit about having a microbrewery with a tasting room attached to it. Years ago, they were very kind of not sure of it. So they were saying, I don't know if this is a good idea. We told them it really builds the community, and it can really foster people to come in and socialize and recreate and have a good time all around a beer. So years later, the city and us are great friends. We have a wonderful relationship. And in changing the licensing and zoning 5 years ago, the city now has had 6 now, I think, open in a 5-year span. So it's really helped the Southern Nevada and the city of Henderson and Las Vegas Valley kind of expand and grow on local beer. So we're really proud of that fact that we've been able to help the community grow, and it's exciting for all of us. So we're really happy to be here, and we're really happy that you guys decided to come along this ride with us tonight and go over some of our beers.
Should we go over what's in your kit really quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's 4 12-ounce beers. The first one, we're going to taste these in order. The first one is the yellow one. That's Evocation. Then we're going to taste Zitrone. That's our Gose sour beer. That's the one that we're going to make the Mango Nada kit with. Then is the large Crowler can, and that is Czech Please. Then is Resinate, our West Coast IPA. And then we'll finish with Belgard, our cold brew coffee stout. So why don't you go ahead and open Evocation, and we'll go over the tasting notes with that. I know you're anxious to get started.
Yeah,
and then Cameron is going to give us a brewing tour. So Evocation is a Belgian Saison style beer. So Saison just means seasonal in Flemish. That's the French-speaking region of Belgium. Historically, when water wasn't safe to drink, beer really did save the world. So when water had certain buggies in it that would make you sick, beer was used for hydration. So Evocation, our Saison, it was brewed for the farmhands or the saisonniers, where they were the seasonal workers. So the farms had kind of rivalry going along with each other. Whichever farmer brewed the best beer got the best farmhands to work for them. So a Saison style beer is a pretty broad beer style. Some can be light, some can be dark, but they should all be a lower alcohol by volume because they're replacing water. And you wanted your farmhands to show up the next morning to work for you again. And it should have a light mouthfeel. So when we say it's a Belgian Saison, that means the yeast is a Belgian strain. So a lot of times you'll see Saisons be called a farmhouse ale. That's because we didn't know what yeast was back in the day. So the yeast was growing and naturally occurring in each farmhouse. So each farmhouse ale tasted different because there were different yeast strains growing in those farmhouses. So let's enjoy your beer.
It's always a good idea too when you're tasting to kind of just smell the nose on it as well. You'll get a little bit of citrus, a little bit of lemon, and then also a little bit of pepper, and that's from the Saaz hops that we use as well. A little bit of pepper on the back end. So let us know what you think in the comments as well. Also, if you guys have any questions at any time about the beers or about the tour, or you see something, a piece of equipment in the background, we're literally sitting in the brewery. As you can see, there's a lot of stainless steel behind me with beer in the tanks, and we have some whiskey barrels as well with beer. So if you see something, we're totally open. Just feel free to write a comment in the chat, and we'd be happy to answer any of the questions that you guys have. We will have Cameron now doing a little bit of a tour of the brewery. So sit back, relax, enjoy your beer, and you can learn a little bit about the brewing process. Take it away, Cameron.
Hello, everybody. Some of you have been on a brewery tour before, but if not, try to keep it simple, straightforward. The beer is made with 4 ingredients of water, malt, hops, yeast. Malted barley, we don't really have a lot of restriction on that. We get those from suppliers across the country. We import malts from Belgium, Germany, and use domestic malts as well. It just really depends on the style we're going for and how true to tradition we're trying to be. Some of those things. Once we have our malt, we're going to look at our water. Obviously, we have Lake Mead's finest here. So we have to do some filtration and softening, and then we still have to tweak that water profile as well to get kind of the flavor that we're going for. Each of the beers you're going to taste, we've kind of tweaked the water a little bit different for each style, so there's a little bit of nuance there that can be played with. So we have those 2 ingredients. We can kind of move on to the brewery here. This is where we're going to combine those 2 ingredients together. It's our mash tun. Basically what we're doing here is we're grinding our malted barley and blending it with hot water to make almost like a porridge of sorts, you could say. The purpose of this is to extract the sugars from that, as well as other enzymes and proteins. This stuff usually takes about an hour. And then we move on to a step called boil-offing. Boil-off is basically a term that means recirculate. This helps us to clarify what is now called wort. So wort is the liquid that comes from the mash tun, basically. So it's our sugary water. So we're going to recirculate that for a while and try to clear it up as much as possible before we move it on over to our oil kettle. So we got over here our direct fired oil kettle. Holds about 10 barrels total. We can kind of squeak in a few extra ones. Play a little dangerously. But anyway.
Cameron, how many gallons are in a barrel?
A barrel is 31 gallons. So basically, those kegs that you see at every bar, bigger ones, they're 15, 25 gallons. 2 of those, 1 barrel, 31 gallons. U.S. barrel. Got the once we have it in our kettle, we're going to heat that up to a boiling temperature. This is going to not only sterilize anything, but it's going to help us to add some fermentation and complex melanoidin type flavors in there. We're going to have some Maillard reactions going on. It's going to be a big party in there, but if it's too sweet. That's not going to be very good. So we're going to get the third ingredient, these hops. And the majority of the time, they're going to be added to the kettle here. So the longer you boil those hops, you're going to get a little bit more bitterness. And the less time, you're going to bring out a lot more of the aromatics from the hops. Just like with the water and the malt, hops we get from all around the world, really kind of figuring out what we're going for here. And you're going to taste a wide variety of those across the beers for sure. American hops that are going to be really citrusy for the most part, and then we have German noble hops that are going to be spicy, grassy kind of character. But there's a lot more we can go on that subject forever. But typically, we're going to put hops in here, boil them for a specific amount of time, and then move on to a step where this one's actually easier. It's called whirlpool. So basically what we do is use some critical action in there to sort of cause everything to collapse to the center, and we draw up the side of the vessel. After that, we're going to be running it through our heat exchanger. This is the plate and frame heat exchanger. So it's kind of hard to see there, even harder to clean. But basically what it does is we're taking the filtered city water that we have coming in, and it's running along one side of the plate. We have our boiled wort, it's really hot, running along the other side of the plate, and they kind of change paths over and over and over again. The end result is we have cold wort at the end and hot water. And we recycle all of that hot water back into our hot liquor tank. Larger vessel over here, where we hold most of our brewing water and repurpose our heat exchanger water so we're not wasting water. Once that wort comes out cold, we're going to be putting it into one of our fermenters. We have a wide variety of sizes and shapes. For the most part, there are 20 barrels each. But from the big boy over there, 40 barrels. During this time, this is where we're going to add our yeast, the fourth and final ingredient. We could have made the same beer 4 times and used 4 different yeasts, and they're all going to turn out to be completely different. So that's going to be the case with especially the Evocation and the Zitrone. You'll be able to definitely tell that those are different from the other beers, and even the Czech fleet. So we have different yeasts in a lot of beers. Typically, when it's a Belgian-style beer and we're adding the yeast, we want it to ferment at that point. Belgian yeast, we want it to be a little warmer. Typically, it's going to drive a little more yeast aromatics in the beer. And a little colder is going to have less aromatics. And while we're on that subject, we have a lager in the group of tasting today. Those are going to be fermented even colder than that. We're going to have to put about twice as much yeast in. The big difference being is ale is the top fermenting yeast, so it's going to actually ferment on the top of the wort that's in the fermenter, whereas the lager yeast is the bottom fermenting yeast. It's going to be fermenting on the bottom. So We need to have a little bit extra in there. It's going to be colder, slower. It takes a lot longer. We're talking about 2 weeks time to finish out one of our ales versus 5 to 8 weeks to finish out one of our lagers. So it can be an extensive process, but we control the temperature of these vessels through they're double wall with glycol jackets inside. So we have 2 jackets in here. There's a whole glycol piping system that's running basically refrigerant glycol through those jackets to help maintain the temperatures of the beers to whatever we desire, which is super important here because it's really hot and rain here. There's no air conditioning. There is a swamp heater though. You can add a lot of things in this space too. We don't only add things to the kettle. We can add lemon peel, fruit. We can hop beer even more, add some dry hops in here. So if you hear the term dry hops, that usually means they added hops into the fermentation. After this step, we'll take our yeast out of that tank and we actually can reuse that multiple times. So we can use our yeast 10, 15, 20 times. Really just kind of depends on how we plan the schedule and things like that. So that's actually a reusable sort of ingredient. After we're done with fermentation, we'll typically cool the tank down to about freezing temperature. And then we, for the most part, move all of our beers way down here. Way down here. Even farther. All the way down to our bright beer tank. It's called a bright beer tank because it's supposed to help beer drop bright, which means clear. But we don't necessarily want that for every style. So you'll notice, hopefully with our Evocation, that it's a little bit hazier. And that's just to be more traditional style. Uh-oh. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit later. That's our glycol chiller kicking off. We're going to talk about the cooling line though real quick.
Yep.
Basically, once it's in that tank down there, we can ferment the beer through fermentation, CO2, and measure that specific what we're trying to get in the beers. We can either, at that point, put it in kegs, or we can put it in cans. We have our can line here. The 2-head canner does anywhere between usually around 16 to 24 cans a minute, really depending on a lot of variables. But running this thing is the most difficult thing in the brewery by far. But it's working good. It works great. I think a lot of room for everything. I can walk you guys through the canning process if you'd like. Yes.
Yay, nay. What are we getting, Gabe? Well, walk us through quickly. Yeah.
Okay, so we have cans they come down through a twist rinse, so the cans are rinsed. So they come onto our conveyor here. They're moved along. This operation goes up and down. These guys will purge the cans with CO2. Oxygen is one of the worst things for beer. So we just kind of want to avoid oxygen at any point in the process after fermentation starts. So we will purge the cans with CO2 from the bottom up, and then we fill them with beer from the bottom up. They run under a CO2 sort of blanket right behind this guy before the lid goes on. Kind of runs along this plate, pushes into the steaming unit, and then comes out the other side through a rinser. And then it's a lot of manual labor at that point. So we're going to have to inspect the steam quality and check the weights of the cans every now and then. And when you pick up that 6-pack at the store, somebody's touched every single one of those cans, put that 6-pack carrier on it, and then put it into the case and put the date on it. Well, it's great. When we're running it at next, it's really tough to look.
And it's been that person running the pack.
It's been Dave over here. Higher.
But it's for you. So those cans that you have, just like Cameron said, they were touched by me, they were touched by Cameron, and we hope you enjoy the beer. It's with gloves.
And masks.
And masks. But it's about quality, and that's really, really important. By the way, thank you very much, Cameron. That was fantastic. And cheers. That's awesome. Yeah, sorry. We are an operating brewery,
So,
I'll jump back on this one. Sorry, we are an actual functioning brewery. So again, you'll hear noises and things turning on and so on. So they're all good noises. Again, it's making sure that our beer is staying at a certain temperature. And that's something that's very, very important. A lot of people don't think about that. But we have a saying here in the back in the brewery is if it's not quality, it's not CraftHaus. And that starts with the people that we hire and their skill level, the equipment that we have inside the brewery, the malt and the hops and the yeast and the ingredients we're using. We're selecting only the best that goes into the beer, that will go into your glass. And even temperature is very, very important as well. So we have a very, very large distribution cold box that maintains all of that beer. So just like Cameron said, when we package it, whether it's in cans, whether it's in kegs, as soon as it's packaged, it's kept in the right temperature so that when you open your can of beer or have CraftHaus for the first time, you will enjoy it and it'll be the same consistency time and time again. So really, really important. So
if you have any brewing questions or beer stock questions, you can shoot them to Cameron and he can answer those for you. But we're going to move on to the second beer. Cameron's going to go over the Gose style beer. Don't drink all of it because then we're going to make the mango nata kit with it.
And it's super tasty.
And if you don't have a dinner roll plate with some water and an extra glass, grab that for right now because you're going to want to rim your glass after we taste it before we hit it with the mango nata.
So we're going to taste the beer. So do a little bit of a taste of it, but then we're going to turn it into a fun little party.
all right, so we have our Zitrone Gose here. Let's go over a little history of this style because it looks like it's pronounced Gose, but it's actually Gose. It originated from in an area called Leipzig in Germany. They're basically trying to replicate a popular style at that time, Berliner Weiss, which is like a sour wheat beer. And well, they were mining salt nearby, and turns out all their water was way higher in salt levels. But you know what? They drank the beer and they actually enjoyed how it tasted, so just flew with it and it became its own style. Traditionally, if you get a real Gose from Leipzig, they're way salty in comparison to some stuff you get on the shelf here in the States. But the style gained a lot of traction over the last few years. It's super refreshing. Tons of people like to add fruit to it. In ours particularly, we add lemon peel and coriander. Just kind of give it like that, just really refreshing. I call it the Brewers Gatorade because it's really hot back here, like I said. And this really hits the spot on days like that. It's a great beer for any time. It's actually 50% wheat and 50% Pilsner malt, so it's got a little bit more flavor to it than at first it may seem. It's also our lowest calorie option at the moment, which is kind of a cool bonus fact. So cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. It's a great beer just sitting and relaxing by the pool, especially coming into summer. So.
And for those of you that haven't had sour beers before, just the same way that you would sour milk to make yogurt, we sour the wort, so the sweet liquid before we start fermentation. It goes through the same process, and we use the same strain of bacteria called Lactobacillus brevis, and we sour over usually about a 2-day period, and then it does its magic. And our sours are not still active and live cultures like a kombucha would be. We then bring the kettle back up to a boil, and then all of those bacteria are killed so that we don't cross-contaminate our brewery and then forever make sours.
Should we step it up a notch?
Yeah.
You ready? Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay, so get a clean glass.
Cameron's
not ready yet. All right.
So get a clean glass, just dip it in your plate, and you just get the rim wet.
Yep, easy peasy.
And then you're gonna rim your glass in that tahini. So the tahini was in a little ramekin. For those of you that don't know, tahini is like a lime chili seasoning. It's magical. So your
The
glass
glass should look like that.
should have a rim of tahini.
Super easy. Trust me, it tastes amazing.
And this is chamoy. It's a chili, sweet, really bad for your teeth.
You sound like a total parrot there.
Yeah, I am.
So everyone, brush your teeth when you're done with the tasting, okay?
So take the top off.
Yeah,
It's a little
super tricky, but you have to kind of twist and.
I think the yellow comes.
The yellow cap.
There you go.
Yeah.
Break the top off.
Break the top off like this. Can everyone see that? And then it should. You should. There you go. See, you break those 4, and then you'll get like looking like that. Yeah. Break this guy out.
And then you're just gonna paint it on the inside of your glass.
It's fun, creative. As much, as little. And there's enough in there you could do it again and again. Only make 2 or 3.
So there's your glass. Yep. Then put in your mango puree. You had 4 ounces in a little ramekin. And then top with your Zitrone. Just try not to pour it as high to where the tahini rim is, because it'll cause it to bubble over.
And then the final touch, grab this guy. This is pretty cool.
So it's a tamarind candy straw that's dusted with chili powder. If you've ever been to Mexico, they have the mango carts where they make the mango nadas. So they usually have diced up fresh mango, and then they have a kind of like a mango sorbet, and then they give you the chamoy and the tahini. So we thought that Zitrone plays well with those flavors. So this is your candy straw.
Take a bite, just go for it.
You gotta go in.
Open
if you're gonna
straw,
do it, then just go
for
and do it.
So we're taking like a sour beer with toasted coriander and lemon, and now we just turn it into this crazy drink. And this is what beer is all about. It's fun. Have a good time with it. Enjoy yourself. It's like a party in a glass. What do you think?
Does anybody have any questions? Did you get it?
Yeah, reach out, let us know. Awesome. Hey, Holly and Robert, cool. And thanks for liking our Zitrone, by the way. I'm glad it's your favorite. That's cool.
So all 4 of the 12-ounce cans that are in your kit, they are year-round. So you can get those all the time.
That's good. It's crazy good. Yeah, I'm gonna go for this. Do this now. Yeah, let's go for it. That's good. Remember, just brush your teeth after.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, kids.
Yeah, kids. Hopefully there's no kids watching right now. Oh, straw's not working.
Yeah, you got to eat the candy.
I got to eat more candy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, hopefully you're all having a great time with us. This is a lot of fun. We've never done this before, so we're having a good time, and we hope you're enjoying your time with us here at CraftHaus Brewery, for sure. All right, what are we going to do next?
I see your question.
Charles, yeah.
All right, questions. Yeah, great. What do we got?
It's for Cameron.
Okay, Cameron's got a question for Cameron.
I can't see the question.
Oh, sorry. Charles wants to know, what are you looking for in the flavor profiles when creating beers?
It really depends. There's a lot of target like base beer styles. They are usually a good jumping off point. A good example, we have a beer on tap right now called Wundernuts. We just knew we wanted a brown ale with some hazelnut flavor. So how do we get to that? Basically, there's a lot of brewing before, basically. So you look at, when I started brewing a long time ago, you just look at what other people have done, say for like a brown ale. Then you kind of come up with your own twists on X, Y, and Z. And the more you do it, the more experience you have with it, just with malt selection and the flavors that you like and the yeast that you like and what they bring to each beer. So, like in this case, we took a recipe that that Dave actually had from his home brewing days, and a recipe I had from my home brewing days. And we combined them and we made them into an Imperial Brown, 8% instead of whatever it was before. And then we added a bunch of hazelnut coffee to the beer. So, and I've just done it enough to know that that would work, I guess. It's hard to, like, you don't know until you try almost. So a lot of things like adding hazelnut, coffee, other flavors, that just comes from, I guess, trial and error for the most part. At the last brewery I was at, we did a new beer like that every week for like 3 years. So that's a lot of different experiments. You kind of run out of ideas eventually. So you learn what works best and what doesn't. So when you're on your 15th coffee beer, it's like, how is this going to work the best? At this point, you should have figured it out by 15. If you're not, you're probably in the wrong career. Hopefully that helps answer the question. If not, let me know.
And then it's important to note that breweries you can follow traditional beer style guidelines. So there's something called the Beer Judge Certification Program. So anytime that we as breweries enter beers into competitions, we have to follow those style guidelines, and that's what that exact beer style needs to follow in that specific category. So the category will tell you what color range it needs to be, what alcohol by volume range it needs to be, what characteristics should be present and what characteristics should not be present. So we're always being judged across that baseline if we choose to brew specific to style. Sometimes we like to just be outrageous, like Cameron brewed a beer that was inspired by our everything bagel topping pretzels and had garlic and salt in it.
That was crazy.
It was really good.
Putting garlic in beer, I'm going to be honest, scared me.
It scared Cameron too.
That's the thing. If you don't push the boundaries, you never know. And speaking of Zitrone, I just remembered this.
What?
We remember?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of the medals.
Boom. We won a gold medal for Zitrone from the Craft Beer, Best of Craft Beer Awards out of Bend, Oregon.
They know a lot about beer over there.
They know a ton about beer. And they gave us a gold medal for Zitrone. So there you go. So cheers. So you're drinking a gold medal winning beer right here.
So the mango, yes, is mango puree, fruit juice puree. And somebody was asking where they can get Zitrone. We have Zitrone in the tap rooms. We don't make the mango nata as an option in the tap room, so that's something unique to your tasting right now. We do offer micheladas in the tap room, though.
Let them know. Maybe they don't know. Let them know where our tap rooms are.
I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah, let's let them know.
The original tap room is attached to our brewery where we are here in Henderson. We're on Eastgate and Warm Springs. We'll be celebrating our 6-year anniversary in September.
Wow.
And then we just opened up a secondary tasting room with no brewery, no production in the Arts District. So we thought it's a really great community vibe and community feel in the Arts District. So we have a tasting room there that we opened up this September. And both tap rooms reopened with limited seating to the public a week ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can you see us?
I lost Cameron.
Cameron's frozen. Can everyone see us?
Did you lose me or did I lose you? Oh, there we are.
We're back. Can everyone see us? We're back.
Okay.
Chime in if you can't see us or if there's any technical difficulties. We're kind of in uncharted water. This is all kind of new for us, but this is a lot of fun. This is super cool. And for you guys to get a tour, this is a unicorn sighting, by the way, to have Wyndee and Dave and Cameron, all of us sitting down at one time and even having a beer together.
Yeah.
We don't get to do it. And we're just for the record, we're husband and wife. That's why we're not social distancing.
Yeah.
Wyndee and I, that is, by the way. But anyways, we're so happy you guys are here. We hope you're having a great time. Should we move on to the next beer?
Yeah.
What do you think?
More beer.
Let's do it. I'm going to put the medal away.
Okay.
I'm going to lock it up in the safe.
Okay. Next, why don't we open the crowler? So this crowler is 24.5 ounces, and we actually have a crowler, so it's a can seaming machine at each tap room. So it's nice. You can take home any beer that we don't currently have in 4-packs or 6-packs. And they're poured and seen to order. And this one is our Czech Pilsner.
Yeah, sure.
You want to talk about the beer stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So a Czech Pilsner, just in case you don't know, it's a traditional Czech style Pilsner. It's a recipe that has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. Our also philosophy is education about beer styles and different things. And again, like we've mentioned, pushing the boundaries and coming up with fun things. But sometimes we also want to just nod to tradition, you know, and go back to the origins of brewing and some styles that probably a lot of people haven't tried, especially European styles here in the US. So I believe it was Cameron's idea. He wanted to really introduce a lager strain, and he had mentioned that on his tour, which was great. And at CraftHaus at the time, we had never introduced a lager strain, and in the first 4 years, we had never produced a lager. So we thought, wow, what a great, innovative, creative idea, which is what we're always trying to do. And so we brought in a lager yeast, and Cameron created the Czech Please. So people have been really, really enjoying it. Cameron, do you want to talk a little bit about the style or what the tasting notes that people may expect?
Yeah, so Czech Please is a fun, traditional, like you said, Czech Pilsner. We source yeast from one of the oldest breweries in the Czech Republic, which means it takes forever to get. So that's kind of a pain scheduling wise to get the lagers going when you're being really specific like that. We also get 100% imported malts for that beer. Just trying to keep it as traditional as we can, and hops. Interestingly enough, it has very similar hops, if not almost all the same as the Evocation Saison that you've already had. But how those hops are used is very different. So you're going to get way more prominent hop aroma and nose and flavor as well. So you're going to get spicy, herbal, a little bit of kind of woodsy flavors in there. But as well as it's still crisp and refreshing too. It's definitely, I think, in my opinion, the most complex Pilsner style, and that's kind of why I like it. You have your American Pilsner, but we don't need to talk about that. What else is there to say about it? It's just a really good beer. We also don't filter it. Most Pilsners are a filtered style, but when we came up with this beer, a popular thing was unfiltered Pilsners, which is what they call Keller Beer. Good, cool little history thing around Keller Beer is in the summers in Germany and Czech Republic and a lot of that region, they would be running out of beer essentially. So they'd serve it from the Keller, which is the cellar, which is from the fermenter essentially. So they wouldn't have time to run that beer through the filter. It's cold. It's been lagering for a while, maybe not as long as normal, but we're out of beer and we need to serve the customers that are thirsty. So we try to replicate that result in this beer by not filtering it. It has a little bit shorter lager time than some traditional lagers do. But that kind of helps to drive forward those hop aromatics and kind of just makes for a really fun all-around drinking beer.
Absolutely. Prost, by the way, I just saw Holly and Robert. Robert, it's so great to know that you're in this chat, by the way. Nice to see you. And again, we mentioned earlier in the, at the beginning of the Zoom meeting that we are, all three of us, which I think is super cool, are all alumni. We're proud. We have our pins on and with pins on. And just for the record, we're very, very proud. In the brewery, I want to show you here, we have this hanging up. All right, bear with me. Look at this. Dun, da, da, da. Yeah. Okay. Above the malt sacks, above here, you see our banner. And we're local, and we're Las Vegas, and we're a craft brewery. But more importantly, look at that logo. So we're super, super proud to be alumni. We're so happy to be doing things with the alumni. And since we created CraftHaus 6 years ago now, we've done what we can to support the alumni and support you guys and you guys in return have supported us. And so made me think of it when I saw Robert's name, but there are people within the community that are alumni that are supporting CraftHaus, and we just want to say thank you. It really means a lot, and we're trying to support as well the community and the alumni as well. So it's super rad. So I hope you guys are enjoying the beer. I hope you're enjoying the tour. And again, let's have another toast. Someone else said Prost, so yeah, absolutely.
Let's see.
Any other questions?
So Charles asked, what was the beer that you created that didn't come out as expected? What was wrong with it?
Okay.
I don't know, Cameron. Is that a question for you?
We haven't really had any here, but maybe another experience or.
Yeah.
I could mention a homebrew beer that didn't turn out the right way, but do you have something to add, Cameron?
Yeah, there's been stepping stones like that in the past for sure. But a lot of those times it's usually due to lack of communication rather than lack of, I guess, so let's say we have the ingredients we have, and then it just wasn't communicated how to use them correctly between brewers. So for instance, I did an old ale, which is a fun style we did for winter one year. And I created sort of a large spice tincture that we're supposed to add just a tiny bit into this beer, just a tiny bit. Well, the message wasn't received correct, and they added about 5 gallons of the spice mixture into the beer. So it turned out into like a holiday spice bomb. We ended up calling it bombastic holiday ale. It was, it wasn't the best beer that I'd ever done. I'll tell you that. There's some other things that are out of control too. You could say make a porter, vanilla porter, and use so many grams of vanilla beans or whatnot, and then you go to make another beer, say a blonde ale, where you're like, oh man, well, 100, if whatever X number of vanilla beans was perfect in the porter, that's going to be plenty for the blonde ale. Well, not always the case. You may need double, triple, just depends on where that ingredient's coming from and how it's been treated before it got to your facility, and those are kind of variables that are a little bit out of control. And we actually have had that happen here once. Just not going to go into too many details, but we were trying to get some malt from a new supplier, and we were doing a one-off beer, and it didn't quite live up to the results of what we'd expect from our regular maltsters. And it still was drinkable, but it really wasn't what we wanted. So it just, there's things that happen like that, and there's, we just got to be pretty choosy on our maltsters and our hop suppliers and things like
that.
I have a ton of crazy homebrew stories, but you don't probably want to know. Some of them went crazy wrong. We have 3 children as well, by the way, and I'll never forget. I won't go into the whole story, but long story short, I brewed the whole beer. It was like one of my first batches, and our small son at the time had this like little stuffed animal or something, just a little toy. And I had spent, like, the kitchen was torn up, and there was pots and pans, and it was an absolute mess. But I was so proud because I brewed the wort, and I added the hops, and I put all of the beer in the bucket, and I was ready to close it up. But I had the one last ingredient, the yeast, to add in, and I had this bowl of rehydrated yeast, and I was carrying it carefully over because this is going to create the magic and make me the beer that I was so excited to make. And Cameron, you can relate too. Could you imagine Cooper? So he, no joke, I swear it was like out of a movie. He threw his stuffed animal, this little tiny stuffed animal, and it's going through the air. And I'm carrying this bowl, and it literally landed in the bowl of yeast. I was devastated. I was I've spent 8 hours brewing this beer. I can't believe this. And then I was and you can't just get more yeast. That was it. So I was oh, well, I'm just going to throw the yeast in. What's the worst going to happen? And the little animal, I pulled the little animal out, by the way, the stuff, and it happened to be a dog. And so I called the beer Hair of the Dog. I pitched the yeast, put the cap on, and yeah, it didn't turn out so good. But there's no stuffed animals allowed at CraftHaus, just for the record. So should we move on to the next beer?
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, you know, this wasn't also kind of planned in the talk, but we know this is, you know, the hospitality group, and we graduated from the hospitality college, and we're kind of in a new time right now, you know. And do you want to speak on that just a little bit about how we've taken our original business model of not only a brewery but 2 tap rooms, you know, here in Henderson and then at the Arts District, and literally had to change that model 180 degrees about 6 weeks or 8 weeks ago.
10. No, we're working
10?
on 11
yeah,
weeks now.
I've lost track. I have a beard now. I never have had a beard before, by the way.
I shaved mine for tonight.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I think it's a good point to bring up with, you know, the hospitality college, in that, you know, hospitality is really important, especially now, to keep our community feeling safe and keeping them wanting to come back to our business. So do you want to touch on that?
So when we were, you know, all businesses were facing the shutdown, you know, you go into survival mode and you think, how can I still provide a service or a commodity or something useful for our community? And that came to me at 2:00 in the morning, the night of the shutdown. And I created an online curbside touchless system. So if people still wanted to have CraftHaus beer, they could order online and then pick up the next day on a completely touchless system. Orders were fulfilled, placed on a table. They texted us when they got there, and then the guest took their beer home with them. But it's not only just about, you know, the widget, if you will. Our widget is craft beer, which we're passionate about our widget, but it was also still a way to be connected with our community, because what we do is we build community and we build relationships, and our vessel is beer. And when you're thinking about hospitality, it's really expanding on what the meaning of hospitality is. So to make people feel welcome and warm and still reach out to them, and without having to come into our tap rooms, we were really trying to embody that. And this is a perfect example. This is a way that guests can have very intimate experience with us and get one-on-one time and FaceTime with us. And I really like this platform because it offers that. Even if you were to come for a brewery tour in person and enjoy a brewery tour, which we're very proud of, I think this is a little bit of a different, unique experience. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're always striving to do at CraftHaus, is offer something that's unique and distinct that builds community. So not only did we have to pivot overnight, we've been constantly having to pivot and change our business model. So we went from survival instinct to then promotion instinct, and get fun packages out there like the build your own mango nata kit, to our frozen beer slushies that now we have in to-go pouches that people have called, they've called them an adult Capri Sun.
People are losing their minds over those, by the way. And they're like, so think of a beer and slushy, like think 7-Eleven, like that type of slushy, you know what I'm saying? But we had beer to it. And the best part is people are like, you came up with this thing, it's amazing. And we're like, well, we've been doing it for 2 years, by the way, people. But we, you know, Wyndee thought, again, how can we pivot and get all of our products to the community and keep them safe and to go? So we found these Ziploc kind of to-go packages. They're super cool. Check them out. Go on our social media or go on our website.
A couple people picked them up with their kit today.
Yeah, and they're fun and different. And so again, had we not gone through a time like this right now, we wouldn't be doing this with you tonight. I'm going to be honest, we wouldn't. But it's something new that we're willing to try and change. And there's another example, taking a product that we've had for 2 years and all of a sudden go, wait a minute, let's package this to still give the community what they want, but keep them safe and feeling comfortable by purchasing our products. So,
and then
really
also, you know, Cameron had to pivot and think of new ways to, you know, create a revenue source for us down the road while we weren't manufacturing, even though we are considered by the federal government and the state of Nevada as an essential food manufacturer. So that meant that we could still brew and produce. Our distributor wasn't ordering because there weren't any restaurants or bars open on the strip and all throughout Clark County. So Cameron came up with the idea to brew a batch of beer that went straight into barrels for aging. And then that way we can have a release down the road when the barrels are ready to be bottled and packaged.
And it's an asset for the company, but it's 3 months, 6 months down the road. So, you know, we've had to transition our business model a lot, but it's been a trying time. But again, if you have questions about any of that, don't hesitate, reach out. Let's have another beer, guys.
Let's do it.
What do you think?
Let's do it.
Boom. Grab Resinate. That's the green can right there.
So Resinate is our flagship beer. It's a morph of one of Dave's homebrew recipes that's been scaled up and tweaked to fit on a commercial production scale.
No little stuffed animals in this one again. Remember, just
no.
you know.
So Resinate is a classic West Coast IPA. When we call a beer a West Coast IPA, that means that the hops came from the West Coast region, so primarily Yakima Valley. And like Cameron mentioned before, those hops will definitely be citrus notes forward, and especially you're going to get pine on those hops too. So this is what they call the classic 3C combination. So it has Cascade, Centennial, and Chinook hops.
Yeah.
And then it's named Resinate.
Those are the ones that grew. Remember?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, and then she took a drink. All right, I'll talk.
Especially when you're drinking hoppy beers, smell it first.
Yeah.
Those aromas from your hops, you can pick up in your sense of smell. You can pick up a lot more compounds than you can tasting. So you're going to experience a lot more flavors and aromas if you smell your beer before trying it.
Yeah, I get grapefruit rind. What do you guys, like, chime in. What do you guys get?
Smell your beer.
Smell your beer. Tell us what you get. Cameron, what do you get?
I like it from the can. Myself, the smell in the can, I think is what, I don't know, it's a weird preference maybe. But that's just what I like.
Nice. A little bit of resin, a little bit of pine, a little bit of grapefruit. Yeah, it's great. It's fun.
I think some people know, but hops are the closest cousin genetically to cannabis. They just don't carry THC. There's always a hop shortage globally going on somewhere, and then now our hops are, you know, quadruple the price, or it could be the hottest hop that all the brewers need to have. So now that hop is sold out or magically 10 times more expensive than it was 2 months ago. But hops are magical. Brewers have a love affair with hops. We like to say that Resinate is a nicely balanced IPA with the hops and the malts. So malt produces all of the sugars, and so hops are the bittering. So they're the counterpart to all that sugar. So they balance each other out. Pine is easy. Fresh hay. Ooh, I like fresh hay.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
job. That was nice, Robert.
Good job.
I was simplifying, but yeah.
Resinate is our second best-selling beer by volume and our first best-selling beer by sales dollars. It's our flagship. We opened with Resinate and Evocation.
Yeah, you can. And I guess we haven't mentioned, but we should if people are enjoying, you know, the variety and the selection. Our beer is available around town. Again, you know, we've been established for almost 6 years now. Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Smith's, Total Wine, Lee's Liquor, Corey's. I mean, there's numerous places that you can pick up our package as well. We're also going to be packaging Sober State tomorrow. That's our blonde ale. It's one that we're not doing in the actual tasting today. Wyndee will get you a can to give you a visual of that. That has been taking off, and people have really been enjoying that beer. It's now available at Walmart, so you can get it. Local craft beer at Walmart, believe it or not, which is fantastic. This beer also was featured in Sports Illustrated recently, which was really kind of cool. The draft pick, I don't know how much time we have left. I think we're doing okay. You guys don't mind the story, do you? So Yeah, remember the draft? It was supposed to happen here in Las Vegas. Well, the
And it
NFL
didn't.
draft, just to clarify, and it didn't. But Sports Illustrated actually reached out to us a couple months back, or mentioning about the draft, and it's if you don't know, we didn't know either at the time. They're now moving it from city to city, and they actually do a page article featuring a couple local craft breweries within the hosting city, which is fantastic. Get it? Draft beer, the NFL draft. Get it? Cool. So needless to say, we sent them some samples. They loved them, and long story short, Silver State got picked to be featured. And it actually, even though that was what, March? That was before. It was February when we were having the conversations and emails with them. But anyways, we reached out and said, even though the draft has now been canceled, are you still going to run the column? Because we know you've already set it all up. We could use the PR at this point. And they said, yeah, it's in. So we made it. So have a look for that. That would have been April's edition. But needless to say, kind of cool, that beer. And now it's going to Costco. That was my last time.
Yes.
So you can also now go to Costco starting probably in 2 weeks, and they're going to do a run of Silver State beer. So again, things are changing within our local valley, and larger buyers and stores and the strip and restaurants are really embracing local craft beer. So it's fantastic. So we thank them, and we thank you for supporting local. I purposely wore my
Drink local.
right here. Yeah. So yeah, support.
Darren wants to know where he can buy a keg of Resinate.
Oh.
So we sell kegs out of the Henderson Brewery and Taproom. You can buy the 1/6 barrel size kegs. Those are 5 gallons. And you can also buy the half barrel size kegs, and those are 15.5 gallons.
Here,
Dave's gonna bring out.
Darren, where do you live?
How much do you want? You want that much?
Yeah, I'll run it over now. Just send me your. We'll break it to you.
We'll Google Maps you. So we do sell kegs, but only out of the Henderson Brewery location, not out of the Arts District location.
We just sold at Resinate today, earlier too. So, yeah. Thanks for supporting, Darren, and good question.
So Cameron, Charles wants to know, when not drinking a beer, what are your favorite drinks?
Oh, there you go.
Bourbon and water. Lots of that. Not with the bourbon, but just
a water back.
We have some bourbon barrels behind us too, right?
Yeah.
No, I like that flavor personally. It's got a lot of the same ingredients that are used in beer. A lot of times you basically make beer first to make bourbon or whiskey. So I used to do what they call a wash. It's kind of like the first process I showed you guys in the mash tun behind me. So you do basically a run out of there, and then we would run it over to a distillery, and they would turn that into whiskey and such. But we would do that part at our brewery. So I thought that was pretty cool because we got some free bottles. That part was always nice. But yeah, that's what I go for. Tequila's great too. There's a lot of complexity to be had amongst all the different varieties. So I really like that. And mead as well is very good. But also really spendy for a brewer.
My favorite drink when not drinking beer is coffee, cold brew coffee, espresso.
I was going to say.
Which also is a perfect segue.
Love it. Love.
So the fifth and final beer.
She does drink a lot of coffee, by the way.
I do.
So that's kind of true. Right, Cameron? She does.
Yeah.
But either way,
yeah.
Love it. I love this beer because it's 2 local businesses and one, and I'll shut up right now.
It's okay. So Belgard is
right
our
there.
Cold brew coffee stout. You guys have the can. If you turn around and look at the back, that is Vesta Coffee Roasters. That is their logo.
Raise your hand if you've been to Vesta.
We can't see them.
Oh, yeah. Never mind.
Cameron has. Good job, Cameron.
Vesta Coffee Roasters is also in the Arts District, right around the corner from our second location on Casino Center, just south of Charleston. Jared is the owner. Wonderful man. We met him when he was home roasting. And here's the cool thing, guys, community, right? I remember when I was homebrewing, and then we turned our homebrew into a business, which was great. And Jared was the same way. He was roasting beans at the time, and he reached out, and we were looking to do something different with our stout, and we built this wonderful relationship. We've been working with him for 4 or 5 years, 5 years now. And we've now have his logo on the can as well. We're very, very proud of it. And we have an exclusive agreement that he works with us and we work with him, and we're really happy with it. So it's been absolutely fantastic. So we're very, very happy about the beer. Who wants to talk about it?
Well, we've gone through a few different processes of how we wanted to impart the coffee, whether it be cold brew or whether it be beans. So maybe Cameron, if you want to expand on that. Sorry.
Yeah, so at least this is a great lead on from or follow up to the earlier question about, things that didn't work out quite like you thought. Coffee is a really weird variable because I've made tons of coffee beers, but depending on the roaster and the execution, like it requires a different usage basically. So I could go to Sprouts, buy some coffee, fresh grind it, and blend some cold brew like that I make myself into beer just fine. And that would taste great most of the time, but because it's not fresh coffee, it doesn't have that, kind of gets some green peppery notes later on. So working with the local roaster is kind of the best bet for the most part. When I was brewing in Colorado, we had a local roaster who they just brought us over to try like 15 coffees at once, and I left that place like, wow. But they would just do a keg of cold brew for us of whatever we wanted, and they would do it all there. We'd give them a keg, and then we just kind of blend that into the beer, basically in between the fermentation tank and the bright tank. But we tried that here, and we just kind of weren't happy with the results so much, so we've gone with a different route of adding the coffee. And sorry, one moment here, something on the screen. So we went with a different route after trying about 4 different ways of adding it. And we're pretty happy with this result. It's got just enough coffee. It definitely has more coffee out of the glass, I feel like, than out of the can. But out of the can, it's a nice blend. Like if you get a cold brew coffee at the store, I mean, they're kind of catered for everybody. They're not super coffee forward and super in your face stringent necessarily. So we kind of wanted a nice blend of beer and coffee. It's also really drinkable. It's not heavy. It's got a little more mouthfeel to it than everything else you've tried, but it's not necessarily too sweet either. So hopefully that kind of helps explain.
Yeah, no, it was
Thanks.
great. Absolutely.
And a lot of people ask, is there caffeine in it? And yes, there is caffeine because we actually use the beans. We usually say it's about the equivalent of a cup of coffee, might be a little bit less, but if you can't intake caffeine, then this is not the beer for you.
Yeah, what do you guys, to chime in, what do you think of the aromas? I mean, what do you think of the flavors? What are you guys kind of picking up?
It also makes an amazing beer float with like cookies and cream ice cream.
Yeah. You'll pour this in half a glass, a dollop of vanilla ice cream, like boom.
No,
you got
cookies and cream ice cream.
Oh, I've never even done that. I've only done vanilla. That sounds even better.
Yes.
We need to go get some cookies and ice cream.
Yes.
Yeah. But the idea too with this style, and Cameron had mentioned it, we wanted it, like it's Vegas, right? It gets really, really hot, and it's a core brand for us, and we wanted it year round. So we purposely went for the cold brew kind of style and drink, and it's got a really, really nice mouthfeel, not too much bitterness in the coffee, got a lot of aroma, but it's drinkable. You know, you can have, like Cameron was saying too, you can have one and have another one, and it's not too heavy. A lot of people, I don't know about you guys, but people tell me when they're drinking stouts, what do they say? Oh, it's so heavy. I can't. Oh, I love stouts, but they're heavy. Well, that was the idea. It was like, no, we want you to have one and enjoy another one and have it not be too much. Get the aroma, get the flavor, enjoy it, and then feel like you want to have another one and not too much. And people have really been enjoying it. So again, super proud that Vesta is involved in this collaboration. And again, I love to always say, when you see this beer, again, it's around town. You can find it and support. And it's kind of like two local businesses in one can, which is, I think that's super cool. So thank you. I'm looking at the time here. I'm not sure if there's any other questions.
There's a business question.
There's a few business questions? Cool, I love it. So now would be the time. Let's do a little bit of questions and answers. So if you guys have any questions for us, we hope you've enjoyed the time with us. This has been super cool. I mean, we're literally drinking beers in the brewery with the owners and the brewer. I mean,
And you.
and it doesn't get any better than that. So we want to thank you for being a part of this. Who knows, maybe we'll do this again. This has been so, I don't know, you tell us if we should do it again. Tell the alumni. We'll make this work. If you guys are happy, if you think we can expand on it, we'll absolutely do it. So thank you all so much for being here and being a part of our tasting and our tour. We hope you enjoyed yourself. And let's open it up for some questions now.
So
Let's do it.
Charles asked, if you were starting all over again today, what would you do differently?
Not open. No, I'm kidding. Right? It's crazy right now. That's a super honest thing. I would not want to do it. But, no, I would still do it. Because I love it.
Well,
okay, go. What would you do?
So the advice that we got when we were in the planning phase of CraftHaus is double your budget and double your timeline.
Yeah.
And we really heeded that warning, and we did. We doubled our budget and we doubled our timeline. But you never have enough money. And if I could give some words to the wise, if you're an entrepreneur starting out your business, don't get bogged down in the business plan. Write it, of course, come up with a plan, but also be willing to change and pivot when necessary.
For me,
what would you do different?
I back, like, to add on to what you said about those, if there's any entrepreneurs or someone's asking, just go, like, start. I mean, because I hate to say, I call them wantrepreneurs, because everyone nowadays is like, I'm going to open a business. I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to do a business. I'm going to do business. And they're on their laptop and they're in a coffee shop and they're like hanging out. And it's like, my suggestion is just action. Start. Whatever it is you want to do. Maybe it's not quite to the level of what you want to do just yet, but the point is start. And you can grow and you can build on that model. But the main thing is start, because if you don't, it won't happen. It won't happen. And I'm not gonna lie though, it takes a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, day, night, middle of the night, 7 days a week, 6 years later. I'll never forget, who was it? We had UNLV here at the brewery for a tour and a tasting. Well, and it wasn't a deal. It was like 2 years ago, I think. This is a true story, and it was great. I mean, they had a wonderful time, and they're sitting in our tap room, and they're seeing the brewery, and they're like, "Oh, this looks amazing." And the question, we had the microphone, and I stepped up, and they were like, "What is it like to be a business owner? And you know, what are some of the things that you have to do?" And I paused, because I was like, do I give the answer that they want, just like try your best and blah blah blah, or do I give the truth? And I actually told the truth, and the truth was this: that canning line that Cameron walked you through, I bought a plane ticket, I flew to Denver, I bought that, I put it on a U-Haul, I drove overnight and got it back home.
Through the Rockies.
Yeah. I mean, from Denver, made it here, okay, dropped it off, returned the U-Haul, went to my day job, okay, left, worked that all day, then came back at night, like Superman changed in the car to be standing in front of the UNLV alumni people. And they're like, so what did you do the last 24 hours? I'm like, I was in Denver getting that. So I go, that's the point, and I'm not asking for any pity, but the point is you do whatever it takes for your business. And it's not easy for everyone. Not everyone can do that. But if you're willing to do that type of thing, whatever it takes, you do it. And if you do it, I believe you'll be successful. That's my honest opinion.
Great.
So I hope we answered that. Do we got any more questions?
No. There's a lot of thank yous. You're
a
welcome.
lot of thank yous.
You know what?
Thank you.
Thank you.
you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for supporting local alumni.
It's awesome.
Thank you especially for supporting us. It does make a difference.
It does.
Retelling the story or sharing a beer from CraftHaus with your friends, it really does go a long way.
Yeah. And also our profile, we purposely do this, you guys. We tasted 5 very different beers, in my opinion. And maybe one really, sung to you and you're like, that's amazing. And then one wasn't your thing. And that's okay. It doesn't necessarily mean the beer's bad, but that's the cool thing about, remember that education component we were talking about? Like, you learn your taste profiles and what you like as an individual and what works for you and what doesn't. And that's the fun thing as well. It's great. So go out, support local breweries, try different beers, find out what you like. And when you find it, then you'll be a happy beer drinking individual. So if there's let us know if there's any other questions or anything. This has been so much fun. Have you had a good time?
I have. Thank you.
Cameron, have you had a good time? Thumbs up. I hope everyone else, we can't quite see you, but we hope you have had a good time. We can't thank you again enough. It's so great to have support from UNLV and the alumni. And we are very, very, very proud to be alumni. And as you know, we hang it in the brewery. And we hope to see your smiling faces here. Again, you can come to this location. It's 7350 Eastgate Road in Henderson by the Valley Auto Mall, or you can check it out on our website. And then also now the new location in the Arts District at 197 California. So thank you so much for the support. We hope you enjoyed the beers and the fun mango nada. Mango nada. I know. I can't even remember. I'm Canadian, so it's new to me, but it's great. I'm gonna have some more of that, I think, when this is over. We'll give you another minute. Yeah, Cameron doesn't like it. He's gonna go for Czech, please. I bet.
If you are visiting the tap rooms, we do have 5 new beers in the first 3 weeks of June.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing an online bottle sale. If you like that bourbon and whiskey style beers, we're releasing Comrade, our Russian Imperial Stout that's been barrel aging on 2 separate beers. One is a Stranahan's whiskey. The other is a High West bourbon barrel. So those will be online. Releasing bottle sale goes live on Friday. Coming up Friday. And then the first Friday of June, which is I think the 5th, we bring back a fan favorite is Giggle Juice, which is our double IPA. So if you love the hops, we love the hops.
Yeah.
People have been begging us to bring it back, and we do, and we give them what they want. Then the week after that, if you liked Zitrone, the sour, we have our fruited series of sours, and that's all the peaches, which we've really upped our peach game this time. We went from 45 barrels to 45 pounds? Gallons. How many? Gallons? Pounds.
We're double. Yeah.
No, to 125.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're actually, when we're done here, no joke, we're adding the fruit to tonight. Yeah. Crazy.
I'll take some pictures and I'll post it on our social media.
Yeah, it's awesome. But again, it's integrity and quality. Like it's fruit puree from Oregon. Like it's legit. No artificial flavors or colors ever in CraftHaus beers.
No.
So we're very proud of it.
And then the 3rd week we bring back our Swartz Beer, and that is a traditional German style black lager, and that is called Urban Panda, and then that will be on the 3rd week of June. There's lots of new stuff coming out.
It's great. Yeah. So if you haven't been to either tap room, feel free to visit us. Come and check out all the new different beers and the things that we have going on. So again, to make the community feel safe, we've enacted all of social distancing, and
So the tables are the 6 feet apart. We now have outdoor seating. The city of Las Vegas has implemented dine out downtown.
Yeah.
So they've closed the section of California Street in front of our business, and they staff and sanitize tables and tents every day for all of the businesses on California Street. So you can go and get something to eat at Tacotarian or Esther's Kitchen. You can get a beer from us. Our next door neighbors are Garagiste, a wine bar. You can get a glass of wine from them, and you can go sit under a tent outside, feel safe, social distancing, everything sanitized. So that's something that's nice that the city has implemented.
It's a fun
for us.
vibe for sure. Yeah, so definitely go check it out either way.
And then we also built, or didn't necessarily build, but we have a patio at Henderson now too.
So if that works for you and you'd rather be outside, you're more than welcome to do that. So
all right.
On that, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you all so much for being here. Wyndee, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dave.
Cameron, thank you for being here.
Cameron.
We really appreciate it. Candace, again, thank you so much for setting this up. We really, really appreciate it. And everyone at UNLV alumni, we really appreciate it. And Jen as well, thank you so much. And Maggie, we really, really appreciate all of you. We look forward to doing this again, potentially. Let us know how we did. And we hope you had a wonderful time. So enjoy your weekend, Memorial Weekend. Be safe. And thanks for joining us here at CraftHaus Brewery.
Go Rebels.
Go Rebels. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you guys for everything. This was great. And I am going to ask Jen to pop back on to take us out.
Yes, thank you so much. On behalf of the Harrah College of Hospitality and the Alumni Board of Directors, big thank you to CraftHaus, Wyndee, Dave, Cameron, anyone joining us for the actual viewing. Thank you again so much. On the slide in front of you, there are a few events coming up. Please take them down, check your calendars, let us know if you can join us for that. If you bought the sampling pack today, or if you did any tastings with us, please tag us, follow us, love us on social media. That's where you'll find the latest on our programs and our upcoming series. And thank you again to everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Hopefully we see you guys next week.